Welcome back to Rift Rivals 2019, powered by Alienware, where we have Team Liquid squaring up against Fnatic in our next game. And Game 3 has given us a treat, as we've got two of the most iconic ADCs squaring off with their teams at the ready to fight for regional glory. Doublelift versus Rekkles. That will be our featured matchup for this third game of the day.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. These guys have faced off a lot of times, over the years, and certainly, two of the most dominant ADs from their regions. Doublelift has been running NA for the last couple of years. Rekkles has had such a dominant career, with Fnatic, and even back with Alliance for a while, really a storied player.
Yeah, and I think we've heard actually Doublelift speaking about how he was looking forward to playing against these other European bottom lanes. What better to start it off with than the legend himself, Rekkles?
Yeah, without a doubt. We've got our #1 seed out of North America, Team Liquid, yes, sitting at 6-2, I believe, regionally, whereas Fnatic undefeated
6-0, baby.
Yeah, you have to acknowledge the fact that they are one of the teams that has been able to take down G2, and after that impressive display from G2 Esports, it makes Fnatic a very scary opponent.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, both these teams, though, are very strong early game teams. I think it's interesting because they somewhat do it in different ways. If you haven't watched a lot of Fnatic this year, in the past, you think, all right, it's the Rekkles show, everything down to the bottom lane, gank for him nonstop, he's going to carry the game. This year, they've had, Rekkles more playing the supportive role. He has been still playing very well in his own right, but it has been more of a focus on the solo lanes. Broxah getting to the mid lane for Nemesis, going to the top lane for Bwipo, and putting them ahead, where TL still does have more of that tried and true bot lane focus. So it'll be interesting to see where these junglers go and if they're going to mix it up to kind of throw the other team, off the scent a little bit.
Yeah, and I think we actually saw a really big transformation with Fnatic between spring and summer, because in spring it very much was still about Rekkles, where it didn't feel like they fully trusted Nemesis just yet. But come summer, it is now so much more about playing to the lanes. But even though the early game strategy is changing for Fnatic, when it comes down to it, ultimately Fnatic is still all about team fighting, and that's where Rekkles really shines.
We do know that that's one of the strengths of Team Liquid as well, always has been, that 5v5, but it will be interesting to see how these early games match up against each other. I do get that little sense that it could just be win lane, win game, as both of these squads regionally, again, have found success that way to some degree.
And I think the thing is, if you want hope for this event as NA, I feel like this is one where you really kind of put a lot of stock in, because people had said before, in spring, all right, the way for NA to win Rift Rivals, you beat Fnatic, you beat Origin, you just accept you're going to lose to G2. But if we can't beat Fnatic either,
no. Exactly. There is a path to victory. Azale has laid it out to get us into the rosters, though. Let's send it over to Kobe and Medic for the starting lineups.
Thank you very much, Dash, and let's jump right into it. The players are loading onto the Rift on the red side. It's Fnatic. In the top lane is Bwipo, their jungler is Dan. Mid lane, Nemesis, bot lane, Rekkles, support Hylissang, and their coach, he fed on Renekton, but it's still Young Buck.
Selecting blue side, it will be Team Liquid. In the top lane, Impact. In the jungle, Xmithie. Mid lane, Jensen. Bottom, Doublelift. Support CoreJJ and Coach Kane on stage.
And it's just great to see Team Liquid coming out.
Let's go.
Official Captain America jerseys. Team Liquid now have a partnership with Marvel, and we'll be releasing a lineup of different jerseys based on characters from the Marvel universe.
Oh, baby, we get a show as well. Jensen's got the Captain America shield. Oh. This is going to be a long-time partnership.
His team is gone. Team Liquid tie the record. It's 3 LCS titles in a row. They are the super team.
And that's just pretty sweet, I've got to admit. As much as I'm not a Team Liquid fan, I'm a European fan, those jerseys look sick.
That's actually insane, too. Captain America jerseys for everybody. The back-to-back-to-back LCS champions. They have only known winning in North America, so it does seem quite fitting.
Definitely does. They may experience something other than winning in this game versus Fnatic, of course, but we'll have to see how that goes down. It's actually the first time we've seen a collaboration between Marvel and a Premier Esports team as well, so very exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looking forward to what else they have in store as well. It does make you think about what other possibilities will be there as far as the collaboration in the future. But I like you setting up this matchup here. Team Liquid versus Fnatic. This is two of the biggest squads from North America and EU going head-to-head. They mentioned it on the analyst desk. Fnatic are undefeated in the LEC. They are the only undefeated team here at Rift Rivals. Absolutely coming in with a huge amount of momentum. And they do have their new jungler, Dan, which was announced much earlier as the substitute behind Broxah, who's been completely popping off in the LEC.
He really has. Broxah's summer split has actually been incredible, probably the best jungler in the league at the moment. But what happened between spring and summer was there was a lot of discussion as to bringing Dan into the roster and having him share scrim time and actually challenge Broxah a little bit. And there was a question mark as to whether Broxah would be starting at the start of summer split. Now, he's played incredibly well, and I think this is just Fnatic using some of the tools in their toolkit to try new things out.
Yeah, very similar to what we saw Cloud9 do in the previous game, getting Blabber up there on stage. If, training with Dan resulted in the Broxah that we've seen in summer, then you have to wonder, what was he training against? Because it definitely has some high ceiling as far as the execution here from Fnatic. We're waiting a little bit for them to figure out all the peripherals on stage and get into the select for now.
I want to say that's definitely the hope for Dan. I want to see him come out and really show a jungler that's challenged Broxah and is, of a similar level. But we've never seen him on a tier 1 stage before. He's played Challenger Series. He played in the European Masters. He's got a good Rek'Sai. He's got an okay Olaf as well. But I've never seen Dan play at a level where I'd be like, he's actually going to challenge Broxah. So this is an opportunity for him to show himself to the world.
Definitely will be an interesting matchup because going up against Xmithie. Xmithie had a little bit of a rough start to summer, but has definitely started to smooth it out much more recently and is a big part of Team Liquid's early gold leads that they have been able to get so far in the LCS. They have gone on a win streak in the last couple of weeks. Not all the games extremely easy for them, but they have been able to work through each and every obstacle.
Yeah, that jungle matchup definitely one we want to keep our eyes on, especially how much Xmithie is going towards the top lane, helping out Impact, because he does tend to have, just more focus up towards that top side of the map. And we're not really sure what we're going to see from Dan, but you have to take your eyes down towards the bottom lane as well. The analyst desk talked about it. Rekkles and Doublelift, the two probably most storied AD carries in Western League of Legends, facing up against each other on the Rift.
Yeah, both these guys have been in the scene for so long. I've known Rekkles for like 6 or 7 years. He's really grown up in front of us and on stage. Both of these guys always have aspirations towards international success because they've been playing for so long. They've had success domestically for so long. It's going to be about how they can pilot these teams. They also touched on it a little bit, but yes, while this is the focal point, it often comes down to team fighting, right? And those team fights are where AD carry players are the most important. Frontline has to be there, initiation has to be there, but the positioning for those team fights is really where you get your victories.
It definitely is. And I think one of the moves we've seen from Fnatic is moving Rekkles into a more supportive role at times as well. He doesn't always have
literally
to be
playing Karma and
he played
supports.
Karma. Last year, he played supports for a little while and benched himself. This year, it made them go undefeated in games against G2. We are into picks and bans. Aurelia removed, Sona taken away by Fnatic as well.
All right, gonna definitely target the bottom lane early on, and once again, gonna have the Yuumi ban to follow it right back up. A lot of the team is feeling like just the Sona, Yuumi, and Karma support slash carries for the bottom lane are just too powerful right now and kind of game warping. So definitely expect to see a lot of these on the ban phase here at Rift Rivals.
And we've actually seen Yuumi slip through a few ban phases over in Europe. It's about 50% win rate at the moment. Fnatic were one of the teams that won with it. So I think there's slightly more priority for North American teams to ban that away, whereas European teams seem to think they have some counters or some ways of dealing with it.
All right, Olaf going to be taken out for Dan, not going to be able to have that early game potential as Team Liquid are going to take that one away. That means Sejuani Trundle jungle trades is still up. Sejuani gets taken off the table, and Team Liquid have their pick for the Aatrox. It's something that Impact specifically has performed very well on. A lot of North American teams, even after the nerfs, still really highly prize the Aatrox for the team fighting. Getting that reset on the ultimate can be extremely powerful and overwhelming in chasing down your opponents.
And it's a matchup Bwipo will know incredibly well. He was seen as kind of an Aatrox one trick for a while last split, and now has moved and varied his champion pool just a little bit. Jarvan will be locked in here, we expect, for Dan, and the Xayah for Rekkles down towards that bottom lane.
Oh, is that Doctor Strange's eyeball medallion that we saw in Kane as well? So they're getting a little extra help.
That's pretty cool.
I like the Easter eggs here.
He's seen 4 million scenarios, and there's only one in which NA take a game at Rift Rivals. That was the show match.
The Eye of Agamotto in our control, though, so I have confidence. Let's see what it's going to be. Bottom lane, Lux locked in. Highly probable that this will be in the hands of CoreJJ, but it could be flexed mid.
It's definitely a possibility. I do like Lux Sivir into a probable Rakan pick here from Fnatic, because Lux is very good into Rakan. You can land that binding pretty easily when Rakan touches back. Sivir gets rid of the knockup as well from that pick.
Yeah, super good bottom lane combination right now. Lux and Sivir, very, very powerful. They have wave clear, they have pick potential. We'll see, though. Dan and Nemesis are getting the lock-ins here for Rekkles and Hylissang. And yes, we do get the complete combination of the Lovers duo. See if they go for those all-ins that you're talking about for Lux. It's definitely a possible champion. You can try and look for that early pressure.
I think the thing I agree with you, Kobe. The thing with Hylissang on Rakan is you have to look for his level 4 roams as well. He likes to go towards the mid lane and try and team up with Broxah, usually this game Dan, and see if they can get some of those ganks off.
One of the things with Rakan you also have to be careful with in this specific matchup, if you go for the initiation on either the Sivir or the Lux, you have to be careful about your exit strategy, because usually you just pop right back out to your lane opponent or compatriot. But since you dash in a straight line, it's also easy for Lux to line up the bindings on the way out, and they can get a lot of return damage.
It's a super tough lane to play perfectly as the Rakan. We are into the second ban phase. Gragas taken away, Skarner removed as well by Fnatic. Want to limit Xmithie's pool just a little bit, and with the Twisted Fate taken away by Team Liquid, expect to see their final ban come in pretty quickly. It's Gangplank. We haven't actually seen that played at all by Fnatic this split, but Bwipo has played it in the past.
Yeah, and I think maybe they're worried about possible top lane picks that can affect bottom side of the map too. You know, the Gangplank ultimate, definitely very difficult to deal with. Fnatic hovering over the Corki, which the Corki package definitely is one of those tools you can use to affect the side lanes very effectively. Also, just scales so well as far as the damage towards the mid game. You know, get your Trinity Force, and it also balances some damage types. It could be a top lane Jarvan. Doesn't have to go into the jungle, so you have some AP damage now in the mid lane, and it can balance out a little bit of the profile here for Fnatic.
I just hope Nemesis is better at piloting Corki than a former Fnatic mid lane that we saw play earlier today. There's the Azir in the mid lane, kind of wave clear for wave clear in that matchup between Jensen and Nemesis. And Team Liquid going to lock in their jungler last. It's not going to be Diana. I was almost baited for
So Diana did get buffed on live. We're not on the live patch. We're still on 9-12 here, but that's what that reminded me of. Actually, super, super big buzz for people at home if you want to try that now. It is going to be a jungler, and it is going to be the Rek'Sai. Xmithie looking for some early game snowballing here. I would expect it's either the bottom lane or Impact on the Aatrox. Always looking to focus that early.
Want to get him ahead as much as possible. Fnatic hovered over the Jace there, which I think is quite a good pick for this composition. Gives you some more poke, but something like the Shen, you're worried about top lane as an Impact bottom lane. Shen does exactly that.
Definitely going to be the case here. We'll see about that Stand United. Have to keep an eye on the timer. Now the cooldown for level 6 Stand United, just the level 1 rank of the ability, is very long. So you have to be very wise about when you use it. And oftentimes we really encourage people to use the first one offensively, coordinating ahead of time. So let's see if Fnatic can actually set that up beforehand, because a Jarvan jumping in with a Shen Stand United on his back is so much more threatening than the jungle Jarvan by himself.
Yeah, you even have like Nemesis could go in with the package onto the back line as well. Just team up as much as possible. Team Liquid on the other side, looking to see what Xmithie can do in the early game. How can he impact these lanes? Bot lane and top lane are where our eyes are focused.
All right, the undefeated Fnatic has traveled to North America, and Team Liquid will look to try their hand at taking them down.
Team Liquid have got a little bit of help as well.
They've got an Infinity Stone here, okay? We're pulling out all the stops.
We'll see if it helps them. I'll be honest, I haven't actually watched the latest Avengers movie, so my references aren't going to be as current.
That's okay. I still love you, 3000 Medic.
I'm getting looks from the crowd. I want to see it. I was working MSI. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's jump into Summoner's Rift. Team Liquid versus Fnatic. Sure, it's going to be a barnstormer of a game. Fnatic, the best early game team in the LEC, and Team Liquid, the best early game team in the LCS.
All right, a lot of pings going down for the possible invade here. Keep your eyes open for the Lux bindings. Xmithie goes out first to get the ward down. An immediate sweeper from Nemesis does find value.
So this is actually a really big thing in the LEC. Most teams these days, for level 1, will take a sweeper from somewhere to try and clear out some of this vision, especially for Fnatic, who like to make these level 1 plays.
Yeah, it's definitely the same in North America. Junglers usually are the ones that take the sweeper, sweep it out, let your solo laners get some experience as well. Crowd around it for the early level 2 in lane. We'll see if that makes any sort of difference here for the Fnatic side.
Minions have spawned.
I don't think it will for the moment. Dan's starting top side of the jungle. Bwipo here to help him out. Looks like Xmithie's going to do the same. Actually starting on his wolves on the Rek'Sai.
I gotta wonder too, because this is Dan's first game on a big stage here. This is an international tournament. I don't know about you, but when the show match was coming up, looking at possible ways to, make highlight plays, Jarvan level 2 red buff ganks are definitely possible ways. As you pulled it off after the invade in our
slightly delayed
in our opening match, yeah, a couple speed bumps there. That is a possibility for Dan. So Jarvan starting on red. Yes, it'd probably be just a clear of the red side camps, but he can look for the earlier plays. And right now he's transitioning to bottom half of the map. So we're gonna have the red buff down to bottom side here, and we'll continue to track Dan through the early stages. Does get early doubles.
We'll have a look at him as the game does progress, but for now, Riv is standing by with Youngbuck to learn more about Fnatic.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Youngbuck. Coming into this game, got to feel good with Europe on a win. But my question to you is, in 2018 Rift Rivals, TL was Fnatic's only loss in the group stage. Youngbuck, what is different this time around?
Well, the first thing that's different is that we're going to win this time. But the real difference, I think, is that our roster change made us play a lot more on bot lane, which we feel is a really big strength. And now we have the Xayah Rakan, so we're expecting fireworks from Hilly once again.
All right, we'll have to see Youngbuck. Thank you, and back to you guys.
Oh, Dan's already behind the Team Liquid duo lane. Xmithie's kind of close, but they might have to flash.
Doublelift dodges away the heal used. Hylissang jumping in as well. Ignite has been popped. Doublelift going low, but manages to survive. Xmithie here gets the knock up, turns it around. Grand entrance from Hylissang. Xmithie has the flash away, but first blood goes down to Team Liquid. With the might of Captain America, they strike first in this game.
Oh my goodness, just on the edge of your seat in that one. Doublelift baits it in. You can tell, like, oh, maybe he'll have to flash. No, he's holding it for quite a long time. Xmithie was on the Krugs, heads on over, and is able to get the counter kill. Let's take another look at it. Doublelift with the sidestep, also spell shield. Ignite on him. He holds. He spell shields later and blocks it, actually. Xmithie goes in, gets most of the damage, and CoreJJ is allowed to flash forward for the double buff secure.
That was actually god tier.
Yeah.
From Doublelift, though. He spell shields the Blade Caller, was holding it so Hylissang couldn't jump in with the knock-up. That was next level. We said the AD carriers were the guys to watch. Well, Doublelift is coming out strong in this game. Hylissang and CoreJJ trading in the river. We talked about how Hylissang likes to roam around. CoreJJ doing exactly that as well.
All right, Scuttle Crab under attack, but it's really just a leash here from Bwipo as Xmithie has roamed over on the Rek'Sai. After you get the early kill onto the enemy Jarvan, you should have priority. From personal experience, it works out pretty well.
Thank you for reminding me that. Obi. Let's talk about some of these lane matchups, though. Shen.
Oh.
Dan. Blade Caller used.
Dan's been pretty sneaky.
Knockup's gonna land. He doesn't get onto CoreJJ. They do, and Doublelift still has his flash to get away. Tripping over my words just a little bit as Dan's second gank of the game trips up as well. Unable to find the connection. The root lands on to Doublelift. Still has his flash though, and can just escape if Hylissang is going to go any more aggressive.
Yeah, Dan's been very sneaky about getting into some bottom lane positions here. But once again, the Team Liquid duo, All-Stars, CoreJJ and Doublelift, have been able to outplay thus far. Right now, Doublelift is so low, though.
Oh, FLICKR root goes in, Doublelift. Oh, he manages to flash away the prismatic barrier. Doublelift escapes, Rekkles almost falls. Hylissang acting as a bodyguard here, trying to protect his AD carry. Gets the heal out, and CoreJJ might be in trouble. Fnatic turn it around. This bot lane is electrified. The boomerang from Doublelift does not quite connect, and Fnatic come out on top.
Oh, it is Rekkles and Hylissang that get the last laugh this time around. What an exciting bottom lane matchup. We were looking at Doublelift matching up against Rekkles, and it has not disappointed.
Xmithie's here.
He's on a ward.
Get out. He's got the E. Okay, he jumps all the way out. Heart in my chest there for a moment. Heart in my mouth, in fact. The heart does usually stay in your chest, so that's not too much of a surprise. Rekkles backing away here. Xmithie doesn't have flash, but can just land the Prey Seeker. And the action calms for
He's gonna Prey Seeker again. But with Xayah Rakan, you have to get both, or else it doesn't matter.
Okay, got them both?
Got them both. That he's continuing to chase down these recalls. Now they're going to sync it up.
Oh!
The shield, it blocks it.
Yep.
If you have to actually register the damage before you can get your recall off. Xmithie's now looking mid, though. Nemesis pushes the wave and backs off in time.
And we
does not overextend.
Haven't really focused on that mid lane. Nemesis has a slight CS lead, about 10 farm ahead. Let's have another look at this play bot lane. Doublelift stayed around for a very long time.
Yeah, so he spell shields the first part of throwing out the feathers there with the Q. Oh my goodness.
Teleport coming in, Dan's here as well. Bwipo coming in, doesn't even need to stand united. CoreJJ, only level 3. You're not going to survive that for long. And Fnatic get their second kill on the board.
Yeah, bottom lane focus. I think we were on the nose with that one pre-game because Shen uses teleport down to the bottom side as well. That means Impact, yes, he can push the minions into top tower, but Fnatic, off of the bottom play, will also get the dragon. Team Liquid's hope now is Impact can utilize that money effectively on the Aatrox because he definitely has a significant lead.
There's about 500 gold ahead in that top lane right now. Jensen actually has the push priority in mid, so he's going to come across. Dan and Hylissang trying to defend. They need to keep that dragon aggroed if they want to go for it. Picking up the honey fruit, healing up. Rekkles on his way up as well as Xmithie looks for the steal, doesn't have smite. Dragon resets. There's a good little bit of bouncing around here from Team Liquid, keeping Fnatic interested enough in the dragon, but also keeping them off. Nemesis is going to trade on towards Xmithie here as Hylissang tanks up the dragon, but Fnatic won't be able to get the mountain yet.
Yeah, you can see Dan is extremely low health, only level 4 still because of all the bottom lane camping too, so they cannot take any further fights on the bottom half of the map. And Xmithie goes back in, he's going to clear out that control ward while Bwipo takes down the Scuttle Crab in round 2.
Hylissang jumping in here onto Doublelift. The Ignite goes down as well. Stand United, they're going for the kill. Flash in from Bwipo, Doublelift caught out. Can't TP used here by Impact. Xmithie on his way. Team Liquid want the fray. Down towards the bottom lane. Impact brings down the Darkin Blade. Bwipo looking for a second though. CoreJJ with the shield. Not quite enough from Fnatic as Team Liquid come out on top.
It's not a bottom lane party without all the teleports, Medic. And this bottom lane has been action-packed. Jensen goes in for the sweep, but Nemesis jumps it.
What a game we've had so far. 8 minutes in, 6 kills on the board, 700, almost 800 gold lead here for Team Liquid. We talked about the strength of their early games. Xmithie has been in the right place at the right time so often.
All right, so Hylissang continues on the chase. He knows immediately after the spell shield that the Stand United's coming in and Bwipo can help him finish the kill. Impact actually answers this time around though because he still has his teleport, so he cleans up both kills. And then CoreJJ under turret, but Xmithie gets the knockup to buy time for the shield to come out and save his life.
It's actually just a game of inches right now. About a 500 gold lead in the top lane for Impact. Bot lane, 700 ahead here for Rekkles. He'll be hitting towards that Essence Reaver very quickly, you have to feel. It's actually a very good bot lane matchup for us to watch because you can kind of compare the two AD carries itemization pretty easily. Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, so we can kind of see who's ahead at any given moment depending on items.
Exactly, both of them going with similar crit builds starting with the Essence Reaver. Team Liquid, I have to say, it's been like a skill check on bottom side for the entire game. Definitely a little bit of a tutorial here about dealing with bottom lane pressure. Oftentimes we just hear people complaining, the top laner's teleporting down. Oh, they have a shut on the team. Well, you call your team and they've been looking once again.
Hylissang goes down, Doublelift doesn't have flash. It's almost off cooldown, but not in time. Dan brings down the hammer and takes out Doublelift.
the latest chapter in our bottom lane party here, Medic.
It's a saga. It's just amazing to watch.
Dan continues the camp. He hasn't been able to finish his warrior, but he gets down there for the kill.
And you can see Impact using the advantage he's gained in that top lane to continue to force Bwipo underneath his tower. Dragon has been started here by Fnatic. They're looking for it for the second time in this game. 10 minutes in, be a good secure for them, but both teams still very even.
Dan's pretty low, but it looks like they should be able to have a rotation from bottom side to help him deal with it. Can they actually fight down a member? Package is there for Nemesis. I think Fnatic have it.
Nemesis having that flank, having the package makes it so difficult for Xmithie and Team Liquid to get in. The Mounted Drake goes down, package used mid by Nemesis just to get back into the lane.
Wait, Xmithie tunnels right into the end of the package there. Burns a little bit. Again, back to the top side though. This is Impact. He's been wailing away on this turret. With everybody going bottom, the Aatrox has been the lead for Team Liquid. Level 9 now for him.
I think the question becomes, how did Team Liquid translate that into mid-game? You know, how do you take a fed Aatrox who's got 3 extra plates, who's 800 gold ahead, and actually use that on the rest of your map?
It's all about getting that single reset in the team fight. Right now, Roam top.
Hylissang with the roams once again. That's the level 6. Bwipo looking for the catch. World Ender popped by Impact. Deathbringer starts out there as well. Bwipo forced back. Xmithie and Jensen join the fight. Bwipo trying to stand alive, but he can't stand for long. Dan and Nemesis coming to join this party as well as Team Liquid pick up 2.
They try and go at Impact. They come at the King in the top lane, and he takes them down. The Aatrox finally pays off for Team Liquid as everyone is able to come up and support on the roam. Impact stays alive. Xmithie waits over the edge of the wall. As soon as Jensen's there, Team Liquid strike. They take the Rift Herald afterwards and immediately are going to feed that money to Aatrox, to Impact. On top of those extra kills, he will be able to complete the Black Cleaver and make halfway towards the Death's Dance.
He is in such a strong position now, and Team Liquid have funneled all of their gold into him. CoreJJ coming down here towards the bottom lane. Doublelift there as well. Hylissang has the 6, doesn't have the quickness, used that in the last fight. And Fnatic are winning the bot side of the map. The top side is well and truly in the North American Team Liquid's favor.
Yeah, Rekkles here has gotten 2 of the last hits for those kills as well. So you can tell by inventory, definitely far more powerful than the Sivir at this point. So Team Liquid's duo lane at the bottom side of the map should have #1 priority as just wave clearing down there and trying to avoid more of the focus from Fnatic. Right now, going for the possible move mid, and they've got Xmithie.
Xmithie looking for the bow, but he's rooted up and knocked up and locked down. Fnatic get their 5th kill of the game, and they translate it into a mid-tier tower, or mid-tier 1 tower.
Really good use of their bottom lane power here from Fnatic. They don't just go for the recall. They send Rekkles and Hylissang to use their power, roam up towards mid. Rekkles taking a lot of damage.
Holding the ult, still has the flash as well. Jensen and Impact able to chase him off, but Rekkles has to burn that ultimate to stay alive.
Really good rotation there from Fnatic. Team Liquid going to try and strike back after Xmithie goes down and earn a turret plate of their own.
So Bwipo has stand united. If this fight does erupt, you can see the flank coming out from Hylissang with the quickness. He's in the right position. Looking for that quickness into jump in. Rekkles trying to bring the blades back. Bwipo now with the team. Nemesis down towards the bottom lane, pushing in the tower. Team Liquid unable to get more than a couple of plates.
Ooh, CoreJJ presses the ward there, so he's able to see Hilly inside the brush. Meanwhile, it's been a rotation to the bottom side for Nemesis, getting some turret plate money for Fnatic side.
Will soon fall.
Takes it while Doublelift is trying to clear out the minions there. Does cost him some health, but they've got all their members here.
Doublelift chasing on towards Hylissang, and he can't survive for long. Doublelift flashes across the wall. Fnatic licking their wounds as they start to retreat. Jensen on his way down. Team Liquid find the kill.
Woo! Very, very close margins in this one. Doublelift is able to use all summoners' spell shield to get out alive, and they get the kill onto Hylissang. All the while, Shen bottom lane again. So Impact is now level 11, 2 levels lead, and Rekkles is going to have to flash because he used his ultimate in escaping mid lane.
Super greedy path from Rekkles, though. You know that Impact's up towards that top lane, pushing in the tower, and he just walks face plant straight into him. Team Liquid with good reactions to take this mid lane tower. They have a 2,500 gold lead.
One of our broader stories here for Team Liquid and for Impact specifically in the LCS has been his triumphant return after MSI. Greatly underestimated by a lot of the other top lane players coming in. Impact has really risen as the shining star for Team Liquid. He's been focused a lot more, taking over team fights for them later on in the game. And this time around, with all of the early money going to the Aatrox, you know, you may have to turn your camera away from the Rekkles Doublelift matchup and watch out for that team fighting monster.
Team fights are Team Liquid's strength. So good at them. So I remember watching them in spring before MSI. So good at delaying the game and getting the position they want around a team fight. But Impact caught out here in the top lane. Pull back with the root call of the World Ender. Won't keep you alive for too much longer.
Well,
Shut down from Bwipo.
Keep the camera on him. Now down on the bottom side. Dan's going to flash away from Xmithie. Fnatic, this time around, they do get the kill on Impact. They send everyone up there. Really nice focus from them. It's going to be a trade of objectives afterwards.
There's a Cloud Drake there for Team Liquid down towards the bottom side. Will be tower for tower, but the Cloud goes over to Team Liquid. Shut down gold falling into Bwipo's hands. It's quite nice for him. Now has the Titanic Hydra complete to try and get some more wave clear in those side lanes, which is basically his only job right now.
Yep, and Rekkles continues to push up here. This is so much more money into the Xayah. Rekkles, I think he got kill credit for that shutdown. So that's shutdown money on the Aatrox, plus turret money for the top turret, and the wave, plus the Gromp. Teleport though.
Jensen trying to get in here, has the flash, could look for the Shurima shuffle onto Hylissang. Rekkles and Hylissang just backing away. Hylissang going in with the quickness, can't land it. Jensen jumps onto Rekkles, the final spark doesn't land, but Rekkles is chased out, Hylissang there as well. Jensen gets the double! 2-0 in a 1v2. Jensen takes it, and Fnatic walk away wounded.
Yep, on the other half of the screen, Xmithie, another recipient of a 2v1, as Nemesis and Dan get the kill onto him. Jensen, though, those fancy feet, dodges away from Hylissang, flashes the Blade Caller from Rekkles, and picks up those 2 kills.
Felt like Hylissang thought they had caught Jensen off guard, but Jensen was ready and waiting. Have another look at this.
Yeah, there are 2 separate traps here. This trap that Fnatic are setting for Jensen, which he's able to step outside, clean sweep away from the Rakan, flashes over Rekkles. But on the bottom of your screen, you see Xmithie there, gets destroyed in the 2v1 as Nemesis came up, and Dan was able to lock down Xmithie, getting 1 back for Fnatic.
Now let's have a look at how our lanes are right now. 1,000 gold lead for Team Liquid. Top lane, you know, Impact's still pretty fed, but Bwipo has 2 kills under his belt, has basically even CS, you know, 15 or so behind. Mid lane's pretty even as well, I'm sure, in terms of gold, because of those 3 kills sitting on the Azir. That makes up for the 40 CS discrepancy. And bot lane, Rekkles is ahead, you know, he's already completed that Essence Reaver, he's got a Zeal for himself as well. Those extra kills, that extra funneling from Fnatic is paying off.
Now we got to keep our eyes once again as we transition to the mid game. What is each team trying to accomplish with their 5-on-5? Of course, the Hylissang and Bwipo communication has to be on point, right? You're looking at the Rakan Shen engage. If that fails, of course, the Jarvan is another great delivery service. And that's going to be what Team Liquid have to keep in mind. Always ward your flanks. Watch out for either Jarvan or Rakan being the delivery tool for the Shen engage on your backline. They have Sivir speed boost to deal with it, and they have the Azir wall to try and disengage. And they need to utilize those tools effectively. Otherwise, Fnatic constantly looking for these types of brush plays that they're setting up.
Literally named after them. The Fnatic bush, looking for a catch, can't find it yet. CoreJJ now going to step up. Smart move from him. Uses the Lucent Singularity to see that Fnatic are ready and waiting. And as the game slows down just a little, I do want to bring just our eyes back to Dan in the jungle. 2-1-2 on this Jarvan. Definitely played to a very specific win condition early on by ganking that bottom lane, but although it hasn't been as explosive as a Broxah performance, for his first ever international game, I think he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, definitely some sneaky moves early on, and both teams sending so many people down to the bottom side. We can have a look at how this 1v1 will go. Impact gets a pretty good chunk onto Bwipo. If you can try and put pressure on the Shen, continually threaten, you know, with your health bar like that, it can be very difficult for Shen to actually gain distance and ult away, because Aatrox has a pretty long range knockup with Q1 that you can even threaten, you know, around turrets and stuff. Shen, of course, can answer back, try and taunt you under the turret, but that is the way that the split push battle is going to go between these two, and Bwipo has to worry about how far Impact does get in this game, because now it's the 2-item power spike with the Death Dance completed. I thought Xmithie and Nemesis might have a little exchange there, but they both agree to part ways.
Gentleman's agreement, you know? It's like when you're playing against a jungler who's worse than you saying, oh, you know, it's fine, we'll go through our own jungles, we won't camp you at level 1, I won't steal away your entire jungle.
Fair enough.
That's what gentlemen do.
Sounds honorable.
Yeah, it does. Definitely does. But I'm really excited for the next 5 to 10 minutes of this game, I have to say, because both these teams known for their team fighting prowess, and we're starting to get towards those big objectives where teams team fight, you know? Looking for those mid towers, looking for that Baron as well. This is where they will clash heads in full 5v5s, I hope.
Yeah, and people may be looking at the Azir Sivir and like, oh my god, that is godlike scaling for Team Liquid. But Xayah and Corki also have very good damage scaling. Impact flank!
Hylissang with the quickness. Look at the damage coming out from Impact. Team Liquid, 5 members strong in the mid lane. Hylissang escapes with a sliver of HP, and Fnatic able to weather the storm. They're going for the 1-3-1 push in towards the top and bottom lane. Team Liquid just barreling down mid, looking for the fight.
Yeah, the tower should be their reward for chunking Hylissang out and forcing him back to Fountain. Even though you don't get the kill, you do get an objective off of a play like that. It was quite a good flank from Impact, grabbing that second knockup, and then CoreJJ with the snipe of the Lux laser down mid. Jensen is caught!
Bwipo going in, and Jensen shut down. Bwipo gets the kill, 400 gold into his back pocket. Nemesis looking for the flank position here, but Impact goes in a 1v4. Impact bashes away, the Cataclysm, he dashes out of it. CoreJJ low down towards the bottom side of the fight. Impact chased up towards the top. Bwipo needs to get the damage out as Rekkles is forcing them away. Impact's winning the 2v1, but the rest of the team is here now. Dodging around as much as he can, he lands the Darkened Blade, looking for the dash across the wall to try and get away, just delaying for his team, who have taken a Cloud Drake while all of this has happened. Impact falls in the end. Rekkles pushes up mid, and Fnatic get their reward for the fight.
Oh my goodness! I didn't even see where Impact was flanking around from into the 1v4. We might hit the replay at that, but that is such a aggressive move. Fnatic are gonna immediately answer with the Baron, and Team Liquid, they're heading there now, but it's too late.
Jensen's TP about to come off cooldown. Team Liquid have to do what they can. It's on Doublelift, CoreJJ and Xmithie to stop this. Xmithie looking to go in, the final spark. The smite lands from Fnatic, and Xmithie pays for it with his life. Fnatic get the Baron, and they've turned this game. Jensen now coming in, though, looking for a bit of a fight, as CoreJJ is there as well. Dan, Rekkles, and Bwipo in the pit. Dan low, Featherstorm comes out. Jensen forced away by Hylissang, but he uses the Emperor's Divide to knock them back. Hylissang still chasing in. Fnatic able to get out alive. Nemesis flashes forward for the kill, and Team Liquid can't find anything more. Fnatic get out, and they get the Baron.
I think that was another uncoordinated play from Team Liquid. They had Doublelift pushing mid, while CoreJJ and Jensen threatened at the Baron, and they lose another member. Here it is, the flash from Bwipo, catching Jensen and getting the first kill. Then let's look at this teleport from Impact. You cannot stop your teleport any longer once you've started it, so probably shouldn't have started it, but in any case, once he did, he had to commit, and that kind of baited them into that little fight. Team Liquid got the Dragon out of it, but Fnatic got the Baron.
Now 3,000 gold lead for Fnatic, turned on its head from just a couple of minutes ago. Team Liquid still have the team fights, though. We saw they were spread out, they were scattered in those last couple of plays. If they are in a full 5v5 with a good flank from Impact, they can wreck Fnatic. The question is, will they find it? Because Fnatic now can just look for a 1-3-1, can split up, can use that Shen and the Corki in side lanes.
Yeah, the Baron gonna do so much for the mid game for Fnatic here. Already 2.5K, and they've got towers to take. Another one down on the bottom side. You know, Corki with package here can push effortlessly. Can't really put any sort of threat on him to stop it.
So Impact actually pushes this wave all the way through mid to stop them from being able to get mid lane tower. Fnatic are bringing 5 players down towards the bottom lane, but Impact did a really good job of just cutting the minion wave away to stop Fnatic getting mid lane tower.
That does stop the 2 lanes of pressure, and Fnatic only get the bottom side, but I think they're happy with just getting the one plus 3.3K on the Baron power play so far, plus all of this vision in the bottom side jungle of Team Liquid. As you can see, they've established complete control over the possible split push for themselves. That allows threat on the Nexus turret right now. Nemesis is 2v1, chunking it down. Baron up. Oh!
Hylissang going in, looking for Jensen. Knocked back with the shuffle, but Rekkles flashes forward. Xmithie unable to help his mid laner, and Fnatic look now for the mid lane tower. The flank position from Xmithie's there. Nemesis down towards the bottom lane. Tower will fall. Fnatic 12 kills to 8 up. 5,000 gold ahead have accelerated this game. Now they're coming down towards the bottom lane. Impact dodges across the wall. And Fnatic continue to push in. 3 items on Rekkles, 3 items on Nemesis. Doublelift lagging behind. The Cataclysm comes out. Fnatic look for the final fight. The final spark from Nemesis will catch him out. But here comes the rest of Team Liquid. Dan low, caught out. It's all on Doublelift looking for the crits. Hylissang goes golden. Nemesis forced away. But Doublelift's just going to land one more shot to the heart of Fnatic. Hylissang falls. The inhibitor's still alive.
All right, are they going to chase him down? Xmithie's looking for Rekkles right now.
Flash in, but Rekkles pulls back the feathers into the feather storm. Manages to escape. Bwipo there. Seeing if he can dash across the wall, Team Liquid apprehensive. The blade caller, the taunt lands on Doublelift, and Rekkles takes down his opposing man. Shut down for Fnatic. 6,000 gold lead. They could look for the inhib, but Jensen's back alive, and they have to back away.
Fnatic gets so much off the bottom side. Going for the dive there. Dan starts it off. In the end, they do get the turret. They get a bunch of extra kills on the back of it. Let's take another look, because they are forcing into the 5v4 tower dive here. Dan goes in, has the stopwatch, is able to get right back out, and even though he gets rooted on the end, and Doublelift is able to get the kill onto Hylissang here, CoreJJ lands a nice binding. The over chase really cost Team Liquid in this moment. They think that they can get Rekkles because he doesn't have summoners, but he still has the ultimate, and laying those feathers down is so big. He's looking for the collar the entire time. Bwipo is on the ward over the extra side, so they know they can set it up. If you land that blade collar, then you're allowed to land the taunts, and that is going to be the kill.
Do have to feel it's a bit of an overchase though from Team Liquid. You see Bwipo on the ward, you know he's there. You didn't have to look for that final kill on Rekkles, who is now 7-1-6, 3,000 gold ahead of Doublelift, and almost completely built. Has a control ward that he'll want to switch out for something else, but with an Infinity Edge, an Essence Reaver, a Rapid Fire Cannon, and a Static Shiv, he is going to shred through Team Liquid.
All right, they're able to get their own red buff, but Fnatic, complete control of both sides of the jungle. Just look how many wards they left behind and lit up because they've been pushing Team Liquid under their base so long. Now they have to be very careful about moving out into this jungle, and Fnatic can really just close the loop. They've got a Shen, so it's a very easy default into split push here. Shen walks up the bottom side towards the exposed inhibitor. Nemesis in mid on the Corki can easily rotate over to the top turret, and Fnatic have 3 pushing lanes into some turret pressure.
And the question is for Team Liquid how you respond to this as well, because when we see split push, when we see 1-3-1s, especially when you're looking at it in draft, you say, okay, we need some hard engage. We need a way to force a fight when we have a numbers advantage. Team Liquid have it if they can find a flank from Impact or if Jensen can slide onto the backline, but apart from that, they're kind of just running at Fnatic as quickly as they can.
They really need to utilize flashes for the surprise plays, right? Impact does have his, but Xmithie not having his for the Rek'Sai makes it much more difficult. So Team Liquid might have to wait on that summoner spell from Xmithie to have that guaranteed knockup flashing in with the Rek'Sai. Otherwise, it's so difficult for a Rek'Sai to teamfight. Impact, meanwhile, is pretty much their lone hope. The level 16 Aatrox, Guardian Angel, plus Black Cleaver and Death's Dance. If he gets a good flank like you're talking about and is able to get into the backline with flashing for one of those knockups, that could be the hope for Team Liquid, still surviving in this game. All their inhibitors are up, but Baron is back out on the table, so you have to prioritize getting some vision around that objective.
Hylissang's looking for a very sneaky flank here, but he's been spotted out on Team Liquid vision. They know that he is waiting in this bush. He just cleared out a ward. Impact's going to face check it, and Hylissang will realize he can't really fight against an Aatrox as a Rakan. Would be pretty difficult for him. I do think this game has shown a lot more how close NA and EU can be. I think game 1 was a little bit of a demolition, but here we see, Team Liquid and Fnatic, the best 2 teams in their regions at the moment in terms of score lines, both topping the tables of their respective leagues, actually fighting neck and neck through the majority of this. The TP's going to come in here already. Fnatic have got the Baron. Team Liquid don't want to take the fight. Final Spark was just a little bit short from taking it, and now Fnatic with their second Baron of the game can once again split up the map.
Yeah, good attempt there at the steal, but you can see how much damage they're packing. We talked about earlier the Corki and Xayah scaling. Full crit builds for both means that they absolutely destroy this Baron. There's a Mountain Drake and Infernal Drake on top of it, so the damage output is just through the roof. And that's why I say that Team Liquid have to have flashes, because you don't have time to tank anything. This damage output is too big with the double crit marksman at the back line, you only get a couple of shots. So you have to flash in, you have to get the kill within that knock-up duration.
Feels like Team Liquid really only have one shot to get back into this game. They can't miss it. If they do, they will be the second NA team to fall by the wayside against Europe today. Of course, we have many more games to play. We have the relay best of 5 later in the week as well. Still a lot of time for NA to fight back. But for now, Fnatic on the offensive, Fnatic on the front foot, and Team Liquid trying to find that opportune moment to strike.
All right, Xmithie is waiting around for a aggressive move from Bwipo, but Bwipo's just gonna back off, plays the Shen very well here, level 16, just has to push up the minions, wait for the rest of Fnatic with their Baron buffs to just buff up these cannon minions. You can see the damage done by the cannon minion there to the inhibitor turret without anybody from Fnatic having to step up and auto that turret, still getting a decent chunk off.
Just chipping away at it as much as possible. You've still got a minute and a half left on this Baron power play, so tons of time for Fnatic. Can go down towards this bottom lane. Bwipo looking to get in there, but Impact stops him in his tracks, and now 4 members stronger. Fnatic down towards this bottom side. Xmithie on his way from top. Rekkles pushing forward, but misses the blade caller. There's the final spark. Impact going in, looking for the fight. Rekkles is forced away. They just don't want to lose the inhibitor. Team Liquid holding on. Rekkles takes another chunk as Impact landing those Darking Blades incredibly effectively.
Yeah, he's trying to get an opening here for Team Liquid, but without a mistake from Rekkles as far as the positioning goes, it's so difficult for Team Liquid to get in there, as we said, unless they're willing to have the double flash. Teleport back here means Fnatic are going to keep up the pressure. Rekkles just goes, heals, finishes up the build. Full build for Rekkles right now.
Incredibly strong spot. Hylissang jumping in onto Impact here, but the rest of Team Liquid are waiting. And here's the thing, there's only 50 minutes left on this Baron, and Inhibitor Tower hasn't fallen. Nemesis looking for top as Jensen's forcing him away, but that tower will fall. The base broken open just a little bit more by Fnatic. Hylissang dodging around as much as he can. 3v4 in this bottom lane in favor of Team Liquid, but they can't pull the trigger, they can't find the engage, and the first inhibitor will fall. Nemesis takes it in the top lane. Bwipo pushing for that Inhibitor Tower in mid.
Yeah, really, really effective Baron push here for Fnatic. Now no inhibitor turrets remain. Mid inhibitor is soon to follow. Only bottom inhibitor here for Team Liquid is left. And Fnatic turn their eyes towards the prize.
Fnatic just waited for this composition to come well and truly online. The On The Hunt pop there by Doublelift, but they can't find the engage. Impact forced away. Lightbinding lands, but the final spark's going to do absolutely nothing. And Fnatic now walk away, all inhibitors felled. And just the Nexus left in their sights.
Fnatic looking like they will remain undefeated in summer for the time being. Really nice use of the Barons. That play mid-game when we had the flash from Bwipo on Jensen was the deal breaker. Team Liquid had the lead in the mid-game ever so slightly up until that play, and then the teleport coming through led to so much of a snowball here for Fnatic. Back-to-back Barons from them. They're able to push in. They've done most of the work, and now it's up to Team Liquid. Chance from the audience, looking for the last stand here. Defense at the Nexus turrets. Can they buy time?
Jensen might be caught out here. The crits connect. Hylissang gets the knock-up as well. Jensen caught in the Cataclysm, and Redemption will not save you for now, and that's one Avenger down as Fnatic look for the final push. Flash in from Bwipo, straight onto the backline. Doublelift is done. Rekkles can just shred through them all. It's all on Impact. Can he find a catch? No. Nothing available for him. Rekkles is unstoppable. Impact falls, and Team Liquid will fall by the wayside. Fnatic remain undefeated, and so do Europe here at Rift Rivals.
What a fun one that was for the early game. Bottom lane play after bottom lane play. Everybody getting down there. Definitely a lot of interesting dodges, a lot of camping. And in the end, it's all about the mid lane play where they get the pick.
Yeah, and the TP coming in from Impact as well. Thought he could utilize that advantage he'd gained, but just wasn't able to find the perfect moment to strike. You know, maybe if Team Liquid had been a little bit more coordinated, maybe if the communication had been slightly better, they would have been able to find it. But overall, good stuff from Fnatic. They waited for their comp to really get to the point they wanted, and then took the game away from Team Liquid with one decisive play, as you say.
Really able to utilize those bans effectively too, pushing on the bottom side, destroying the entire base there.
And Team Liquid on the other side, you know, it was a very strong early game performance from them, actually. In my opinion, they were able to get the lead in the lane they wanted to. They played around the Aatrox, they got impact ahead, and then they just weren't quite able to translate that. And so I think coming out of this, you're probably not too dismayed if you're a Team Liquid fan.
Yeah, definitely still a lot of games to play here at Rift Rivals. Another sad B for North America, but it's still early in the tournament.
That's true. There's a lot of time still for North America to strike back. We've seen it happen in the past. And this is just, you know, Fnatic needed to equalize their record against Team Liquid at Rift Rivals. They were 0-1. G2 needed to win the tiebreaker against C9. So it's, you know, just those little things evening out early on. Right?
There you go. A little bit of revenge does come in for them, and they're able to find the win.
That they are. Well, to give us a breakdown on that win, we're going to send it over to Riv for an interview with Fnatic's AD carry.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Rekkles after the victory over Team Liquid. Coming into this game, what were the expectations facing off against TL? Europe already had a win. Were you feeling good?
Yes, but also we knew that Team Liquid would be pretty good, so we were trying to, you know, make a good draft so we could have something to work with.
Looking at how it was going to be good for Fnatic, it seems like there was a bit of focus on Doublelift in that early game. Dan was right there to get you going, kind of was that the intentions from the get-go to stop Doublelift?
I mean, basically the plan was just to get his flash pre-6 so that Jarvan could dunk him after, but we kind of screwed up, I think, and they actually got a lead, but then eventually we could do it anyways, and then that was enough for me to get a lead.
Right on. Hit me with the communication that was happening. TL definitely had that advantage in the mid game. What were you saying? Was impact is too strong? What was the team communicating to make sure that that bleeding stopped?
Honestly, I guess we didn't really feel like we were losing. Maybe it was looking like we were losing, but for us it just felt like we were going to outscale them, so there was no really stress in the game. Maybe Azir was a bit too strong, but even then Corki was still a very fed member, so it was okay.
Well, that's definitely the mentality of an undefeated team in the LEC. My final question to you, Rekkles, you're always very outspoken of how good you are and how good you can be. What do you want to show everyone this Rift Rivals?
I guess just that we're more than 6-0, because I feel like a lot of people just think that we're kind of lucky, I guess, to get these wins, but I think we're actually like a really good team now, and not like in spring, so it would be nice to show that we can actually contest with the world.
Well, there's another victory in the book. Congratulations for that. We're going to send it to the State Farm analyst desk to break that victory down.
Thank you very much, Riv. Another one goes the way of Europe as the 2 seed in Fnatic takes down the 1 seed from NA in Team Liquid. This one, quite a bit more competitive, though, through the early stages of the game. And as we had teased, the AD carry featured matchup, well, it may have just been a featured matchup between both teams in the bot lane.
Yeah.
Because everybody took a chance at the bot lane at some point throughout this game.
Yeah, it was all about the bot lane, right? Fnatic started off with a very early gank by Dan, but Xmithie's pathing here was really intelligent. He started on his wolves, got the Krugs in there as well, so he's level 3, while Dan is 2, which meant that they were able to pick up that first blood, but then Fnatic kept throwing more and more resources down here on Doublelift.
Yeah, exactly. It was just non-stop aggression from Fnatic on the bottom lane. I do think TL were handling that pretty well. You know, Dan was pretty much base, bot lane, over and over and over. They were Shen ulting down on cooldown. You know, and TL was holding fairly even at that point, but you know, this is, I think, you know, a hallmark of a good team, that they're not just giving up on a strategy because the first gank failed or because, you know, one little thing went wrong. This did result in a big lead for Rekkles. All this attention now on the bot side.
Yeah, Rekkles got ahead, but on the other hand, top lane and jungle for Team Liquid got massively far ahead. Dan was super down in experience because he'd been so focused on ganking and not looking for CS and clearing his jungle himself. So it gave Liquid a lot of room to take control over other areas of the map.
Yeah, it created quite a skewed map in that regard. You can see here the gold leads just at 10 minutes for Team Liquid on the top side as compared to Rekkles, who at the time was sitting with around 2 kills, 2 assists, plus a small farm advantage. So quite clearly the game becomes, or rather is positioned around Rekkles for Fnatic and how they can kind of roll it through as a 5-man squad. Whereas for Team Liquid, it's how do we leverage our Aatrox now in the side lane against this Shen to make something happen on the map.
Right, and that was the difficulty for Liquid because it didn't feel like they could really do anything after they took that outer ring of turrets. You know, Aatrox isn't gonna be able to knock down towers or find solo kills on the Shen in the side lane once the Titanic Hydra comes through. And then their overall team composition didn't have great engage. They were relying 100%, it felt like, on flash knockups on Rek'Sai or miracle bindings from CoreJJ to do anything.
Yeah, and that's why I think that the early game is so important when you're running a competition like this. If you are winning and you're dictating the pace of the game, you set up vision around objectives, then all of a sudden, you know, Lux bindings and you know, a flash on burrow from Rek'Sai becomes much more threatening. When you are on the back foot, everything is warded. A Lux binding that you see at the professional level is just not a threat whatsoever. So TL certainly, you know, didn't have the engage, and that's where it comes down to that mid lane play, you know, Jensen getting caught out, the team being split up, and that leading to the eventual Baron here for Fnatic. And you can see, you know, half of TL is going over towards this dragon. Doublelift and Xmithie were both going over there. Jensen's up here by himself. Sure, you have the turret, but that is not going to protect you from the engage of Fnatic, and they got punished so heavily.
Yeah, and looking at this, I feel like TL just shouldn't even be going down towards the dragon. Go up topside, get deep vision to set up around the Baron so you can have the forward wards, so that you can be able to find those Lux picks and extend your lead. Instead, Fnatic got the lead and then send Rekkles to push out mid lane while the rest of the team is focused on taking down Impact. Because Impact's death was so delayed, he didn't have his teleport. He wasn't spawning by the time that Baron was going down.
And I mean, you can see the goal graph right there, right? That is that pick. That's is
literally
the game,
that
you know,
moment.
like essentially falling off a cliff for TL. You know, up to that point, it was a very competitive game. You know, I do think that Fnatic was playing well, and you know, that was the opening that they needed. Once you have that, if you give up the Baron buff, you have no hard engage. How do you pick off a split pusher? Corki's going to sit in the side lane, continue to extend that advantage, and you can see that Fnatic not only was very far ahead in gold, you know, they were 2 to 3 levels ahead in multiple roles, you know, mid, AD, you know, severely ahead in itemization as well. So certainly from that point, it felt like, well, this is pretty doomed unless Fnatic really throw.
Right. I think in a lot of ways, this game did showcase that, one, Team Liquid is good, right, and can stack up against the top teams against Europe or in Europe, but rather in those, you know, singular moments that a lapse in judgment can still swing the game the other direction. And for Fnatic, you know, I think that this again showcases to us that you know, Europe as a region with G2 and Fnatic are definitely the favorites here at Rift Rivals.
Yeah, and I think this game would look a whole lot cleaner from Fnatic too if we had Broxa in the jungle.
They won with Dan.
Yeah, they won with Dan, which is huge, especially because Dan, let's be honest, it looked a little shaky at the start for him. So obviously there is some room to grow for this player, but Fnatic looked very strong coming into the tournament.
Well, 2-1 in favor of Europe if we're counting the show match.
We're counting
for NA. When we return, Xmithie and Sven are pitted against one another. See which former member of the iconic duo comes out on top after this.
Doublelift dodges away. The heal used. Hylissang jumping in as well. Ignite has been popped. Doublelift going low, but manages to survive. Xmithie here gets the knockup, turns it around. Grand entrance from Hylissang. Xmithie has the flash away, but fun goes down to Team Liquid. Hylissang going in with the quickness, can't land it. Jensen jumps onto Rekkles. The final spark doesn't land, but Rekkles is chased out. Hylissang there as well. Jensen gets the double.
Finish.
He's there. I got it. Nice old pity.
Here comes the rest of Team Liquid. Dan low, caught out. It's all on Doublelift looking for the crits. Hylissang goes golden. Nemesis forced away, but Doublelift's just going to land one more shot to the heart of Fnatic. Flash in from Bwipo, straight onto the backline. Doublelift is done. Rekkles can just shred through them all. It's all on Impact. Can he find a catch? No. Nothing available for him. Rekkles is unstoppable. Impact falls, and Team Liquid will fall by the wayside. Fnatic remain undefeated, and so do Europe.
I think ProU is a really cool feature. Good job, Riot. I had to watch Doublelift's POV as well, right? And I watched his like POV of Xayah game. I was a bit disappointed.
Oh my god, dude, that was one bad game. What?
The mistakes just kept happening.
It's not even worth it for me to watch your POV, dude. I've honestly never watched your Pro View in my whole life. I'm sorry.
You haven't watched my Pro View at all?
No, I haven't.
But that explains
You're
it,
such a fan. You're such a fan. You just watch me all the time.
That explains it.